You PSI TV, the Netflix of biz brands.
You've started your business and you have no intention of failing. Well, let's help you make that happen, especially if you're in year 1 through 5 of your startup. Let's go. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 18% of businesses will fail within their first year. And by year 5, 50% are gone. Now, let's not fall into that statistic. Let's see how we can survive those fledgling years, 1 through 5, to have a much better probability of surviving and growing into the organization that you know your business can become. This is the emotion we're all avoiding. Oh, we failed. I failed. This is the emotion we're avoiding. Not only the emotion, we're avoiding the reality. A lot of us, when we get started, we tap out all of our savings. We max out our credit cards. We borrowed from friends and family, and some have even taken out mortgages or loans on their assets. The last thing we need is to see all of that go up in smoke because the business has failed. Yet, so many of us will get started. We will get started because, according to the Commerce Institute, in 2022 alone, 5.4 million new businesses got started in the United States. So how are we going to avoid failing when 18% are failing in year 1? This is something that we need to avoid. So let's talk about how we can survive these fledgling years. Now, Profitable Social Influence TV, PSI TV, we officially got incorporated in 2012, but we did a rebranding. So if you were to look us up, the home company is Profitable Stewardship Inc. It's going to say we formulated in 2015. We actually got started in 2012. But the TV aspect of the organization showed up in 2019. Now, in all of that time, I was working to get to TV. I wanted to bring the business that we were already in. We wanted TV as an exposure. So now Profitable Stewardship Inc. is the home company which owns Profitable Social Influence TV. But as a company on record, 2015 was the start of that company. So we're now in 2024. So we're almost at the 10-year mark, but it's the same business, we just rebranded. So the question is, how does a company survive these fledgling years? So let's look at what the Bible says, what research says. Overall, I put this community content out to equip you, so that you will have more strategies to increase discovery of you and your offer, and we can all win. So a rising tide lifts all boats, and that's what I'm doing here week after week. Trudy Beerman here. I'm the host of PSI TV and a doctoral candidate at Liberty University, and I am pursuing research in influential reach. So as I said, many businesses are getting started, possibly even yours. And how are we going to ensure that we're not failing in year 1 through 5? Because remember, 18% of businesses statistically fail in year 1 and 50% are gone by year 5. Here are 10 of the common reasons businesses fail before year 5. It's not a comprehensive list, but it is a top 10 common reasons that I could find through research. Number 1, lack of business acumen or business skill, overconfidence, insufficient market research, failure to adapt, ineffective leadership, poor financial management, lack of marketing and branding knowledge, failure to delegate, inadequate planning and execution, lack of networking and support. There's no way I can go through all of these, but for the sake of time, I will touch on some. Now, if you have had a business failure in the past, look at this list. And if you are cool with being a little bit transparent, in the comment below, say at what year your business failed and which one of these you think may have been the cause at the time. Now, if you're currently in a business and you're in year 1 through 5, look at this list and try to think, where might we be having a challenge? Okay, so, and then if you're cool with it, write it in the chat. Let's just be transparent and let's support each other, okay? So if you're in the United States and you wanted to try and get a small business loan from the Small Business Administration, they're going to request a business plan from you. And in that business plan, you need to have shown that you had done your market research. They're asking you for, what is the market share you currently have or anticipate? What is the scope of the business and the market and about the industry? And you should have done some market research. A lot of businesses just get started. They have no clue what is the capacity for their offer within the market or even where their market is. Failure to do that is going to be a problem. Another big one that I do want to go over is overconfidence. What is overconfidence? What's this got to do with anything? What do you mean overconfidence? So let me use the example of the CPA, someone who's a master at accounting. They've been doing this for years. They have years under their belt. They have all the credentials. They know what they're doing, and they decide, you know what? I'm not going to work for a company anymore. I'm going to start my own business. I know accounting. I'm good at this. Okay, great. There is a big difference between mastering a skill set and running a business. Let me tell you, people, when a lot of us get started as entrepreneur, we wear many hats. Sweeping the floor, answering all the phones, we wear all the hats. And as we grow and take on help and outsource resources and things like that, you'll find that the dynamics of all the moving pieces begin to increase. And you're going to find that the person who's great at accounting, for example, may really not do a very good job with sales or marketing or finding their next lead. Or you'll find that they have a big churn with the number of employees that keep going in and out because they're not good at management, or they're a terrible boss, or they're not good at follow-up with their clients. But the overconfidence that comes from them being a master of their skill can bleed over into them feeling competent to run a business and then are in shock that their accounting business fails. So overconfidence is another big one that I do want to point out. Now, I'm not going to read this Bible story. Please go read it for yourself. But many of you know it. This is where Solomon gets wisdom from God in 1 Kings chapter 3. So Solomon has just taken over the throne from King David. And he says, and now, O Lord, my God, thou hast made thy servant king instead of David, my father. I am but a child. I don't know how to go out or come in. Now, there's nothing in the Bible that says Solomon was an actual child. There's evidence he was at least 30 years old when he became king. He was not a child by age. But when Solomon says he's but a little child, I believe he's referring to his maturity or his readiness to do this great task of running the nation of Israel. So he asks God, give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people? And God says to him, because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked for riches for thyself. Let's just pause right there. Many of us want riches, okay? And we're pursuing the money. And sometimes if in the goal of pursuing the money, we overlook a lot of very important things, the pursuit of that money will blind us to a lot of important things. But Solomon was not blind to the gravity of the job ahead of him. And he realized that above all else, above money, and you know what? That's a huge thing for us today, because governments all across the globe, you see them just flooding with inflation, just printing more and more money, and thinking that throwing more money at the problem is the answer. Throwing more money at the problem, if money was not a problem and there was a flood of money, money is not always going to solve the problem. And in fact, the constant use of money without value behind it will just increase inflation in a nation. And so Solomon asks for wisdom to run this huge enterprise that is in front of him. And I am suggesting that many of us, that's where we need to start. Okay. So I'm going to go back to that list we just looked at, and I'm going to show you that some of those skills are learnable. Some of them require some inner work, and some of them we really should seek some outside help. So let's go back to that list again. So the ones in this teal blue are learnable. The ones in the orange are inner work. We need to do some inner work. And the ones in green, I'm saying we should go get some help on that if that's not your area of competence. So let's look at lack of business acumen or lack of business skill. So again, going back to our accounting example, just because somebody is a master of a skill set, construction, carpentry, video editing, if you are a master at that skill, does not automatically spill over into the ability to run a business. Many of us have walked into a McDonald's or whatever, and we're frustrated at the level of customer service. But customer service is an important part of running a business. So lack of ability to run a business is learnable. It is very learnable. Now, the next one was insufficient market research. You see, I've blended the colors because this is learnable, but sometimes it's better if you get help with that, especially if that's not your area of expertise. This may be an area that you can farm out to someone else to do. Ineffective leadership, I highlighted with both the teal, which means it's learnable. You can learn leadership, but ineffective leadership may be an inner game work because a lot of people know what to do, but aren't executing or aren't executing well. That would be inner work, okay? Maybe there's some trauma, maybe there's trouble at home, whatever the case may be. So this is a blend of learning how to do the thing in the first place or doing some inner work. Then we have financial management, lack of marketing and branding knowledge. I have in green, which means you can farm that out. You could probably get help with that. It's very easy if you're, say, if you are a TV company like mine, I could hire out the financial side. I could have an accountant, a bookkeeper, whatever. I don't have to be skilled at that and still yet get the business done. Okay. When it comes to lack of marketing and branding knowledge, many people are stuck in this particular area. This is one of the biggest challenges to getting a business up and running. And it's one of the areas that I have determined to personally get mastery in. I have had coaches and courses and spent a lot of money in this area, and I'm still nowhere near where I need to be. But it is something that I'm personally investing in learning. And this is something that I believe, like, consider me like a tutor, maybe a step or two ahead of some of you. And one of the reasons why PSIT TV exists, because I wanted to take the knowledge of the business that I had to television. And once I got the television credentials, because that was the path I chose, I realized that, oh my gosh, so many people are having the same challenge. And then I allowed for this skill set to become a business within itself. So I am now helping many of you to co-create that brilliant masterpiece that is a cornerstone piece of your marketing and branding. When you appear on PSI TV and I interview you, we co-create this amazing TV media piece that becomes part of your media portfolio. And many of you, if you're smart, will repurpose that and use it in your email nurture sequence so that you're priming the pump. Now, if any of the words I just said sound like, what did she just say to you? It means you are needing to get deeper into your marketing and branding knowledge. This is not a marketing course today, but I want to say that it is a lot. And it's one of the areas that a lot of people, my business in particular, struggle with, which is why I have invested so much to learn this. And everything I'm learning, I pass on to you. So watch this channel, because weekly we put out shows, and marketing and branding is huge because that's influential reach, right? So let's continue. So I said inadequate planning and execution. It is learnable to plan, but it's also something you can farm out. Now, lack of networking and support has the 3 colors. Lack of can be inner work. It could be that you don't have a network of friends and peers because you have, maybe you're shy, maybe you're an absolute introvert, maybe you just, you feel people don't like, whatever. That might be some inner work. Okay. But networking is something you can absolutely learn. So don't just go to a party and stand there like a wallflower. Go talk to some people and find out what they do. You never know where that relationship can be of value down the road, or maybe you can refer. And that's what networking is all about. And that's when it comes to support. Again, we can farm out a lot of the support that we need for our business. Now, failure to delegate, overconfidence, and failure to adapt are all inner work games, because failure to adapt, a lot of us, especially as we get older, we get set in our ways. And COVID showed us that we have got to be flexible and roll with the punches, because if you can't roll with the punches, you're going to get hurt. So we have got to be able to flex, and that is going to require some inner work. And when it comes to failure to delegate, I know I suffered with this. In fact, I lost a franchise opportunity over it, because I had a business that was franchisable at the time, and I chose not to do it because I couldn't imagine giving up. I had all my identity wrapped up in that business, and so I could not imagine parting with it and letting someone else run the show. That was an inner work game. Okay, so this is learnable. And sometimes we need some inner work, and sometimes you need to get external support. These are the ways to overcome these 10 common business areas that we fail in, and our businesses fail within year one. I never said it was easy. I just said it's doable. Okay. So these are the top 10 reasons a lot of businesses fail in year one or by year 5. And these are the ways that we can look to overcome that. Now, as you invest in this business and you look at the future of your business, because we're talking about year 1 through year 5. I don't know where you are in the game, okay? But if you're just getting started, or you're in that year 1 through year 5 period, the years where failure is at its highest statistical possibility, when you look at the future, what do you see? Are you anxious and you just see giants in your future? All these humongous hurdles that you are probably never going to overcome? Or do you look into the amazing future and see your transformation from the small person depicted here into the giant that you can absolutely become? So, when Bezos and all of these guys, they started out, a lot of them in their garages, and now they are huge organizations with brands that can stand alone, separate and apart from the owner. So when you look into the future of your business, are you filling it with imagined anxiety? And I said imagined anxiety, guys, because we're making it all up. The future hasn't happened yet. So you're making up that future. And if you're making up that future and choosing to use that energy to put negative, failing, disasters into that future, you're building up the anxiety. Anxiety is not the same as fear. Fear is, as my business coach would say, when there's real and imminent danger, like there's a tiger or a crocodile right by you. That's fear. Anxiety is an imagined thing, an imagined future that we don't like. So we imagine, oh my God, it's going to fail. Oh my God, what are they going to say? Oh my God, what are they going to think? We create that future that has not yet happened, and we're filling it with all sorts of negativity. But you can use that same imaginary energy and imagine an amazing future. So when you look into your future, do you see giants that are ready to crush you, or do you see the giant that you are becoming? Which is it for you? Now, academic research says, this is peer-reviewed research, it's relatively recent, picks up on one of the biggest challenges for people running businesses, and it actually extends all the way up the success ladder, and that is imposter syndrome. And can you imagine, this is affecting medical students who have studied so hard, they're now doing their rotations, and this phenomenon is affecting 22 to 60% of these medical students. They're feeling imposter syndrome. So this is not even just thing that business owners feel. It goes across the board. And it is fixed when we incorporate self-evaluation. Remember, I was talking about that inner work and psychosocial strengthening. That is that inner work at dealing with how you relate within society, and avoid maladaptive thinking. Remember that anxiety we were just talking about? You're looking into the future and you're putting in all these negative scenarios. We need to stop that. I love this quote from Jordan Peterson. To be fully self-conscious means that you're perfectly aware of your limitations and how you might be hurt, and then to make the decision to move forward into the unknown and the land of the stranger anyways. That's one of the secrets to a good life. And I think many of us go into our business organizations, we start up with the idea of we're building a good life. And many of us are convinced that entrepreneurship might be the secret to the good life. It certainly is a secret to autonomy and flexibility and freedom of time. So it's huge. So let's survive those startup years. Let's avoid failing in our first 5 years. Let's live through year 1 through 5 and survive. If you survive those 5 years, if you survive year 1 and get into year 2, there should be a celebration. You just missed that 18% statistic. You are no longer a part of that. So that is worth celebrating. So every year that your business has an anniversary, you should celebrate, because very few, look at those statistics again, 18% fail in year 1. By year 5, 50% are gone. And guys, by year 10, 65% of businesses are gone. So I'm about close to the 10-year anniversary if we go by the new branding year of 2015 for the corporation that is currently running the show for me. And I have survived those years, and I intend to survive very many more. How many of you are going to do the same? Tell me in the comments. I really would love to know. So that you survive those years of the startup, and you're going to win. You're going to win if you take note of the 10 list the list of 10 common business failure reasons I showed you before. But you really need to learn that marketing and branding piece. And that's where PSIT TV can come in as a real cornerstone in co-creating content with you that will position your organization and the solution that you offer as the ideal and preferred way to go, and introduce you to a brand new audience in the long run. Trudy Beerman here, super simple to find, and I do look forward to connecting.